Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to revise Act 3 of Shakespeare's Macbeth. In this video, we will focusing on the plot development of all 6 scenes. By the end of this class, you will clearly understand how Macbeth changes from a guilty king into a ruthless tyrant. This act is very important because it shows Macbeth's complete moral downfall. Let's begin with the scene-wise plot development. The first point talks about the overall idea of Act 3. Act 3 is a turning point of the play. Macbeth is now the king, but instead of peace, he is filled with fear and insecurity. The witch's prophecy about Banquo's sons becoming kings begins to haunt Macbeth, pushing Macbeth towards further crimes. So here begins the summary of Act 3, Scene 1. Scene 1 opens with the Banquo's soliloquy. This soliloquy is very important, okay? Please make note of this soliloquy. Banquo reflects on the witch's prophecies and suspects that Macbeth has gained the crown by foul means. And from this particular soliloquy, we readers comes to know that Banquo started to suspect Macbeth. Okay. This also makes him wonder whether the prophecies will come true in his case too, and whether his descendants will be a line of kings. However, unlike Macbeth, Banquo does not give in to temptation and keeps his thought under control. He is not like Macbeth. Okay. After Banquo's soliloquy, who comes to that scene? Macbeth. Macbeth, now the King of Scotland, accompanied by his wife. Here, Macbeth is having some intention. First point, Macbeth invites Banquo to the banquet held in honor of his coronation. Second intention of Macbeth is that he want to convey or he want to show that he is having a friendly behavior towards Banquo. So he is asking Banquo for his valuable advice for the discussion of some matters regarding the state, especially about what? About Duncan's murder and the flood of his 2 sons, Malcolm and Donalby. Okay, then third intention of Macbeth is, in a very casual and friendly manner, Macbeth asks Banquo about his plans for the evening. For what? This is actually a clever trap to gather information about Banquo's murder. For what? He want to give all this information to 2 murderers. After that, Macbeth dismisses that gathering, and who comes there? An attendant informs Macbeth that 2 men are waiting there. And who are they? The 2 murderers. Okay. And he asks the attendants to take them to him. In that particular time, we can see Macbeth's famous soliloquy. This one is very important. Okay, this particular scene ends with the Macbeth soliloquy and begins with the who soliloquy? Banquo soliloquy. These 2 soliloquies are very important. Okay. In this soliloquy, Macbeth reveals his deep fear of Banquo. He feels threatened by Banquo's royalty of nature and moral superiority. So these are the 2 reasons why he fear Banquo. Make note of this point. Okay. Macbeth realizes that if Banquo's son become kings, all his crimes would be meaningless. So he decides that Banquo and Fleance must be removed. That's the end of scene 1. Here begins the summary of scene 2. In scene 2, Lady Macbeth appears restless and unhappy. She feels that it is better to die than to live in such doubtful joy. As soon as Macbeth enters, and she inquires about his thought, and she understands that he is very disturbed, and she says that he should have put an end to them with the death of Duncan. What's done is done. So Macbeth, by hearing this, he replies that he just scourged the snake, not killed it. By this, he means that he just temporarily wound the snake. So what is the fear of Macbeth here? Banquo and Fleance are still alive and remain a danger to them. So this is a danger to them. Who? Banquo and Fleance. Now they believe that Duncan is at rest while they suffer from constant fear and guilt. Macbeth hints that a terrible deed will be done before nightfall, he invokes darkness to hide his crime. This shows how Macbeth has become comfortable with the evil and no longer seeks his wife's guidance. And this particular point is very important. If a question comes as the characterization of Macbeth, you can add this point, how he become comfortable with evil and no longer seeks his wife's guidance. Okay, next scene is very short, scene 3. What is happening in scene 3? Murder of Banquo. In this scene 3, the murderers attack Banquo and Fleance. Banquo is killed, but Fleance manages to escape into the darkness. This escape becomes a major cause of fear for Macbeth. Though Banquo is dead, the prophecy is still alive through Fleance. Macbeth realizes that his position is still insecure. This failure intensifies what? His anxiety. Next, let's move to the scene 4. Scene 4 is a famous banquet scene. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth act as perfect host. The murderers informs Macbeth that Banquo is dead, but Fleance has escaped. As Macbeth come to know this particular news, he is disturbed. As Macbeth goes to sit on his chair, Banquo's ghost appears and occupies his seat. Macbeth is horrified and completely loses his control. This ghost represents what? Macbeth's guilt and inner fear. Lady Macbeth quickly covers up Macbeth's behavior. She explains to the guest that he is suffering from one of his temporary fit, which he occasionally gets and will be well very soon. She advises the guests to ignore Macbeth, as the more they take notice of him, the more it will aggravate him. So what happened? This is the first time that ghost appear. How many times the ghost appear in this scene? 2 times. When the ghost reappears, Lady Macbeth understand that the situation goes out of hand. She decides to break the company. And how the scene ends? After the guests leave, Macbeth declares that blood will have blood. He realizes that violence will only lead to more violence. So these are the realizations. Okay, Macbeth also begins to fear Macduff, who avoided the banquet. Next, let's move to the 5th scene. In scene 5, Hecate, the queen of the witches, appears. She is called the witches for dealing with Macbeth without her permission. She plans to deceive Macbeth by giving him false confidence through apparitions. So this one is very short scene. Okay, next let's move to the last scene of this act. Scene 6 shows the growing public suspicion against Macbeth. From this particular scene, we readers or spectators comes to know that public starts to suspicion against Macbeth. Lennox speaks in an ironic tone, suggesting that recent events are unnatural. Scotland is portrayed as land ruled by fear, but there exists a hope for them. Okay, hope of what? Hope of restoration. Malcolm is in England seeking help from the English king. Seward and his army are ready to support them. Macduff openly opposes Macbeth, giving hope for Scotland's future. So what is the dramatic significance of this particular scene? The scene foreshadows Macbeth's downfall. It prepares the audience for the final conflict between good and evil. Justice and rightful kingship are about to be restored. So who all are present in this particular scene? Only 2 characters, Lennox and another lord. So this is how our act 3 ends. Next point is talking about the themes of this particular act 3. The important themes of act 3 include ambition and power is the first point. Second point, guilt and fear. Appearance versus reality is the third point. Last point, tyranny and moral decay. To conclude, Act 3 shows Macbeth as a complete tyrant. Crime becomes a habit and guilt begins to destroy him from within. This act clearly prepares us for Macbeth's tragic end. If you found this explanation helpful, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon because I will be uploading English literature revision classes and live sessions before your exam. Turn on notifications so you don't miss them. If you found this class helpful, please share it with your friends. Thank you and all the best for your exam.